What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me on these analysis. We're going to be looking at MSTR and Bitcoin today. As you can see, we are trying to make our way back on top of this upward sloping trend line, and we are fighting with this key level of resistance and support right here. On the daily, you can see we close at 402, so we close right back inside of the structure. It might open up just outside because of the positioning, but we technically closed right on it or slightly inside of it. But at the same time, we still have this level of support and resistance right here. So that's still a level that we need to break. And I think once we can break this structure here, this should allow price to have a little bit of wiggle room to move up a little bit. We'll see where it takes us. And on the 4 hour, it looked pretty good. It looks like we tried to get a wick fill. It wicked down, and then it tried filling this one here. We pushed up slightly. It technically almost filled it, and then just pushed back down in the later part of the day. But overall, it was a good day. 4.85% today, and if you were an MSTX, it was a 9.49% day, which is nice to see. Maybe it's part of the HTM not being issued unless the MNAV's at 2.5, so maybe that's gonna help price shoot up a little bit higher. We'll see. It does look like Bitcoin's kind of gearing up for another leg up higher, so we'll see where it takes us. It is looking pretty promising, and I do think if we can get back above the structure, we'll pretty much resume what we had going. And honestly, it's probably going to end up being a fake out. The weekly close over here was definitely increasing the likelihood of a continuation to the downside, but it looks like MSTR is starting to push back higher because Bitcoin's starting to push up again, as it was down to, I believe it was 113 or 112, and now it's sitting around 116, 800, anywhere between there and 117 or so. It's kind of bouncing around that area right now. We'll go over that in a second in the video. So it's nice to see that. On the fib to the downside, this is a continuation of the move to the downside. Like I said, we are above the 382, which is a nice sign, but we still need to get above this key structure. And then we have to see how we react once we touch the 0.5 to the 618, which is a key level. And we also can't forget about our large golden zone to the downside, this major one here that has been giving us trouble for a while. As you can see, this is sitting here at 423 to around 387, and we're still in the middle of it. So we need to get back above there, hold that level, and start to push up higher, and then break this smaller level of support and resistance. If we can break that golden zone, that's going to help pretty much invalidate this bearish move to the downside, and it's going to start to show that the bullish trend to the upside is back and in full effect. On the weekly SMA, it looks like the 20-week SMA served as a perfect bounce as we retraced all the way back to it, and we skyrocketed off of it. We still have 17 hours, so we'll see how MSTR behaves tomorrow. And you can see here that we are back above our 50-day, which is a nice sign. We got to close, so that's going to increase the likelihood of us retesting and potentially pushing higher. But we have to be aware that the 20-day SMA is above our head at around 412, which kind of lines up with that idea of us getting a little bit of freedom. Once we can surpass this zone right here, we could get a nice move to the upside. Global liquidity has been cooling off temporarily. Right now, if we were perfectly on track with it, I don't know if this is a 12-week on MSTR's chart. If we were to perfectly line up, then that's showing that mid-September we would be seeing a major drawdown. This is probably the largest pullback that we've had in this entire move on global liquidity. When you take a look at all of the drawdowns, I don't think any of them were as large as what's coming here. So be aware of that. And then when you line up September's seasonality, it kind of makes sense. So August and September are typically not the best months for the S&P 500. So we'll see how it behaves with Bitcoin. I believe Bitcoin, these months, it kind of changes a little bit for the 4-year cycle, 17, 21, and 25. We'll see if it continues, or 13, 17, 21, and hopefully 25. They're different. They actually do pretty decent. So we'll see if that holds true here this year. According to global liquidity, be ready for some kind of major drawdown. But if we're somewhere in this area, then that means we have some nice upside before seeing a major drawdown, which of course would probably result in a large drawdown here on MSTR. On a macro perspective, here on Bitcoin, you can see that we actually have a nice inverse head and shoulders that's playing out pretty nice right now. So you have your left shoulder, your head, your right shoulder, and a measured move would take us probably to the top of the channel if this were to play out perfectly. Of course, they don't have to play out. It is looking perfect, as the neckline would be somewhere around this horizontal level that we already have drawn out, and it's getting a retest, or it already got a retest and has bounced off of it back in April. So it's a perfect play. As you can see, the bounce, that drawdown that we had landed right on that key level of support, and that's where we found our bounce. I'll do a more official one here. Give me a second. So that's the actual inverse head and shoulders right there. Measured move is from the neckline to the head. So if we take that here and you measure that out, that takes you, remember, it doesn't have to be exact. So you can do plus or minus. It could be a little bit above, it could be a little bit lower, but that takes you to the top of the channel. So that would line up with this theory of us touching the top of this channel, as we've already seen in 17, 21, and potentially 25. And these have been separated by 4 years. So we will see if it holds true again. Of course, we have seen our tops in Q4, so we'd be looking October, November, December potentially. Things can always change. But if that were the case, that means we're going to have a really aggressive move to the upside. You're talking about absolute skyrocket move. We'll see if it plays out. But yeah, I have 2 scenarios that I see. One is being potentially pushing up to this midline, maybe wicking a little bit above it, maybe touching higher prices above this midline, wherever we reach it at, wicking back down, and that would be the end of the move. Or the next one would be making it all the way to the top. So we'll see. I mean, either way, you could still see much higher valuations, as you can see. For instance, if you're touching it in December, the midline is around 150, but if you wick up a little bit before pushing back down, like a little blow off top, you could still touch 170 or something like that before the cool off period. And that has to do with what I've seen over here, because I think this piece over here is a larger drawn out move of this, but I have to respect the idea of touching the tops and bottoms of the channel like we've already seen previously. And if that were to play out, it would be touching the top of the channel here and then coming back down for a retest at around anywhere from, it depends on when we touch it, but for instance, if we touch it in June 2026, that would be a pullback all the way to 66K. If you were to touch it in December 2026, then that's a pullback to 82K. So it all depends on when you touch it, but it would be touching this line at the bottom, how we've seen in 22 and 18. On a weekly perspective, as you can see, once we got this weekly close, that increases the odds of a retest and continuation to the downside, maybe touching this region at 110. Right now, we're looking pretty solid. I'm loving to see that. I'm happy to see that we are back above here. And if we can get a weekly close above here, then that's going to open up possibilities of us retesting and now playing with this mid-level and potentially the top of this channel here. And now we'd be back in this range, because we want to be back above in this range instead of ranging down here. We want to be ranging from this 116 to 120 mark instead of 115 to 110, because then your breakout point is much higher, and then we can break this wick and continue on higher. And of course, as we've already spoken about, we have this trend line that's upward sloping, and we've had our touches along the way, and it's acted as a key level of resistance. So I would imagine once we get there, it's going to be a tough level to break through, but once we break it, and hold, get a retest, then our next target would be the midline of this channel. Now, one thing to take note of is we do have some divergence. As you can see, we have price going upward. So we have an upward sloping trend line. And on the MACD here on the weekly, so this is a very powerful chart, we have a decrease in momentum and volume. So we could be seeing some bearish divergence right now where price is increasing, but it's actually getting weaker. And this is displaying the weakness before seeing some kind of drop. So I don't know if that's the drop that we're going to get in September or when that's going to come, because this doesn't have to play out perfect. You know, this could always turn all the way up and just continue rallying. But definitely keep note of that. We have divergence, so be aware of that. That is not something that you want to ignore at all. On the daily, we're starting to look good. As you can see, the decrease in bearish volume, it's starting to push back up and potentially start to flip green. And then hopefully we can start to see this blue curl back above the orange right here. And then we can start to see a nice move like that to the upside and get the volume and sentiment back up and get Bitcoin rallying again. It has been looking pretty solid though overall. The structure is looking nice. And it seems like the pullbacks are just getting shorter before continuing up higher. For instance, like this leg here was, we ran up, and then this period of consolidation and downward chop was from March 4th to October 28th. And then this one was from November 18th to around April 7th, or depending on where you want to do it, if you want to say out here to May before continuing out. And now this tiny consolidation and pullback right here after this short one here from May 19th to June 23rd. So the moves have been pretty small and short. Hopefully we can start to get a nice aggressive one with another quick drawdown and then a larger move up. And hopefully we can touch the top of the channel. I would love to see that. That'd be amazing. I wouldn't say that's my base case, but I would definitely be happy to see it. You guys let me know in the comment section what you think is going to happen. Be sure to check out the Discord. The link will be in the bio, so check that out. Surf around the storefront on WAP. Let me know what you guys think. Always open to feedback, so if you guys hop in there, I'm all ears, and I'll cater to what you guys are looking for. So we're just starting it up. Check that out. I appreciate all your support. Make sure you drop a like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.